In what might be one of the most telling interviews of Elon Musk's unraveling, he did an interview with Jesse Waters on Fox News. I can't say I encourage you to watch all of it. I've got sort of like the relevant parts here to show you. He offers some now pretty familiar justifications for his obsession with Mars. It's sort of the stuff 9-year-olds think about when they first hear about Mars, and a lot of it doesn't really make any sense. Take a listen to what Elon had to say.
This is a backup plan in case something bad happens here, going to Mars.
That's one of the benefits of Mars, is life insurance for life collectively. So eventually, all life on Earth will be destroyed by the sun. The sun is gradually expanding, and so we do at some point need to be a multi-planet civilization because Earth will be incinerated.
I'm hearing this for the first time. No one's ever told me the sun is going to burn
This is not a
Earth.
disputed fact.
I'm not disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't know this was our destiny, to get roasted by the sun.
Yes, and I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with that.
So we have to set up plans to leave and spread out.
I mean, we have several 100 million years, so it's not like you don't hold your breath. It'll be okay. But if Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years, which is what the fossil record suggests, then Earth only has about 10% more life in it before it gets so hot that life is impossible.
And you're going to be the guy to put us closer to where we need to be to get to Mars.
We're headed there, yeah. We have a long way to go because it's not about just landing on Mars and doing flags and footprints. It's about creating a self-sustaining city on Mars. With the fundamental fork in the road of destiny being that Mars is sufficiently self-sustaining and can grow by itself. If the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, whether that is because civilization died with a bang or a whimper, but if the resupply ships are necessary for Mars to survive, then we have not created life insurance. We've not created life insurance for life collectively. So that's the key point in the future where destiny of life as we know it will forever be affected, is when Mars becomes self-sustaining.
You know, it is true, right? I mean, the sun will eventually expand and consume the Earth in several billion years. Mars is going to become uninhabitable before that. And based on current science, this whole terraforming idea to make Mars habitable outside of forcing humans to live underground or in bubbles, that would take centuries, realistically, until humans have the technology to make that transformation possible. And that's a lot of what this whole Mars idea is based on. But then Elon goes even further and shifts into sort of like a sci-fi pluralism. Take a look at this.
Why are we going to Mars?
Well, we're definitely, this is a change of subject, but it's not about going to Mars to visit once, but it is to make life multiplanetary, so that we can expand the scope and scale of consciousness to better understand the nature of the universe and to ensure the long-term survival of civilization in the hopefully unlikely event that something terrible happens to Earth, that there is a continuance of consciousness on Mars.
You know, there are people in my audience who think the entire Mars thing is just a terrible idea. I'm all for going to Mars. I'm all for space exploration. I think it's natural for humans to do it. I know there are people on the left and right who, for different reasons, think it's not worth it, that it's stupid, that it's pointless. I think it's all great. But we do have to understand what Mars will and won't do for us and the scale on which it will and won't do it. There are numerous good books about this, which I've read. And there's this kind of metaphysical techno jargon that plays well in some circles, or like a DOGE meme, but it's really a distraction from real priorities. And that's the problem with a lot of the Mars talk. Expanding the scope of consciousness and all of this stuff sounds great, but Mars can't grow food. Mars can't sustain breathable air. It can't replace Earth's complex biosphere. And the ideas about how to get Mars to that point seem to be on the order of hundreds of years away, if not longer. And so the problem with the Mars talk is when it becomes a sort of, we don't have to worry about climate change on Earth. We don't have to worry about depleting Earth's resources or depleting the atmosphere because Mars is a suitable replacement. It's not going to work on the time scale we would need it to work in. Now, in terms of the sort of like financial utopia that Musk was supposedly building with DOGE, that's also collapsing. And I think that there's an analogy between the completely unrealistic claims about how quickly and how impactful DOGE would be with the completely unrealistic claims about how quickly and impactful sending humans to Mars is going to be. I think that there is an analogy here. And if you look at, the speculative hype that drove Dogecoin to the moon, and then it came back to Earth. If you look at the speculative hype about how many trillions Doge as an agency was going to cut, and then they cut a fraction of it by claim, and then when we dig deeper, we find that a lot of those cuts weren't really cuts, and a lot of it was actually done under Biden. It's all very similar magical thinking from Elon Musk. Now, I'm interested in the Mars topic. If you want to read more about the limitations of Mars, there's a really good book by Robert Zubrin, The Case Against Mars. I've interviewed him about it. There's another great book, The Planet Remade, The End of Astronauts. All these books really talk about the limitations of Mars, and they make one point really clear. You can't swap Mars for Earth. I'm all for all of it up until people start saying, we don't have to worry about XYZ on Earth because of the Mars project. And unfortunately, a lot of people have fallen for it. Let me know what you think. Are you into the Mars idea or not? I assume most people in my audience understand it's not a suitable replacement for Earth at any time. First of all, because of the amount of time it would take to make it habitable. And then long term, on the scale of billions of years, it's not going to be habitable anyway when the sun starts to expand. So let me know your thoughts on Mars. We've got a great bonus show for you today. We're going to talk about Australia's elections. We're going to talk about how, despite getting more powerful, AI is still hallucinating, but it's getting better at convincing you that its hallucinations are real. And we will also talk about a woman who appears to hurl a racist slur at a kid, has raised over $600,000 in donations for herself. What is going on? All of those stories and more on today's bonus show. Sign up at joinpacman.com. We've covered on the show extensively how more and more people are stepping away from organized religion. For some, it's just the realization, I don't have to participate in that. And all of a sudden, we have seen a serious shift. But not everybody is okay with that shift. Christian nationalism is on the rise. They are working overtime to put their beliefs into the law, into our schools, even into our personal lives. It's sort of like, hey, I respect your right to believe whatever you want, but just don't make me live by it. And that is where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. Our sponsor, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, fights to keep church and state separate. This is what the founders intended. So whether you've always been secular or you've left religion behind, or you have beliefs that you don't think should be part of our government, FFRF has your back. Join the David Pakman Show in helping FFRF. Go to ffrf.us/freedom or text David to 511-511 and become a member today.